Order. We start with questions to the Minister for Women and Equalities. Tom Gordon.
Question 1, Mr Speaker.
Minister.
Mr Speaker, we set out yesterday afternoon the government's plan to fix a broken system, proper employment support to help hundreds of thousands out of work on health and disability grounds who want to be in a job, dealing with the work disincentive inserted into the benefit system over the past 15 years, and making personal independence payment financially sustainable.
Tom Gordon.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In recent weeks, I've been inundated with constituents getting in touch, worried sick about changes to the disability benefit system. Yesterday's announcement goes further than even the Conservatives managed or dared. We know disabled people are already facing systemic barriers in society, from issues with accessing health, transport and housing. And inadequate financial support already means that some of the most vulnerable have to access food banks. These cuts will exacerbate their pain, fueling hunger and debt. So what assessment has the department made about these cuts, the impact on finances and the harm they will cause?
Minister.
Proposal made by the previous government to convert PIP from cash into vouchers caused a huge amount of anxiety. We've made it absolutely clear in the announcement yesterday we're not going to do that. But we are going to make changes to ensure that personal independence payment is financially sustainable in the long term. And that's what the changes will assist, and that will reassure a very large number of people for whom PIP is vitally important.
Catherine Smith.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Epilepsy is a lifelong disability which has huge consequences on the lives of those who have epilepsy. No more so than the mothers who had epilepsy and took sodium valproate when pregnant and whose babies were harmed. Will the Minister take some time to meet with me and my constituent, Janet Williams, whose sons have been affected, to discuss how we can ensure that the quality of their lives is best supported by this government?
Minister.
Well, my honourable friend raises a very important subject. As she knows, the Department of Health and Social Care has set up the Valproate Pregnancy Prevention Programme, or it's been set up by the MHRA, and I or my honourable friend the Minister at the HSC will be very glad to meet her to discuss those points.
Liberal Democrat spokesperson Christine Jardine.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. We all know that life is more expensive if you're disabled. We know that investing in mental health and social care would give disabled people the support that they deserve. If the government was serious, we believe as Liberal Democrats, about cutting welfare spending, it would get serious about fixing health and social care and the broken department of working pensions. And we know that by fixing that, we'd reduce the benefits bill in the long term, but yesterday's changes, slashing support offered to vulnerable people, will leave many people again facing difficult choices. So can the Minister assure disabled people, including the 80,000 in Scotland who are still receiving PIP, that their needs will be listened to, taken into account, and that they will somehow continue to get the support that they need?
Minister.
Mr Speaker, I'm sure the Honourable Lady will welcome the additional £26 billion being invested in the National Health Service in the coming financial year for exactly the reasons that she has set out. And the most severely impaired will be protected in the changes that we've made to, we've announced yesterday, to personal independence payment. Yes, we will be consulting. There will be a full 12-week consultation period on the Green Paper proposals, and we'll be listening very carefully to what everybody says in response.
John Grady.
Question number 2, please, Mr Speaker.
Minister.
With permission, Mr Speaker, I will answer questions 2, 6 and 14 together. This government is clear that someone's race or ethnicity should never be a barrier to success. As set out in the King's Speech last July, we are committed to introducing mandatory ethnicity and disability pay gap reporting for large employers. These measures will be part of the draft Equality, Race and Disability Bill. Yesterday we published a consultation on these proposals and also announced that we have established a new race equality engagement group to partner with ethnic minority communities, stakeholders and delivery partners to help shape the government's work on race equality. And I'm delighted that Baroness Lawrence of Clarendon has agreed to chair this group.
John Gray.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Glasgow's Muslim community is characterised by its kindness and public service. Last weekend, I visited my friends at the Hillview Islamic Centre in Shettleston, and met with the convener of the Muslim Council for Scotland, Dr. Mohammed Adris. I heard terrible incidents of anti-Muslim hatred and crimes in Glasgow and the west of Scotland. Does my honourable friend agree with me that our Muslim brothers and sisters should not have to live with this hatred? And would my honourable friend set out the steps that the government is taking to combat this hatred?
I thank my honourable friend for his question, and I completely agree with him. And indeed, I also attended a wonderful interfaith iftar in Hounslow on Friday. Islamophobia is completely abhorrent and has no place in our society, and no one should ever be the victim of hatred because of their religion or their belief. The government has established a new working group to provide the government with a definition of anti-Muslim hatred and Islamophobia, advising government and other bodies on how best to understand, quantify and define prejudice, discrimination and hate crime targeted against Muslims.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Minister for her commitment to mandatory ethnic pay gap reporting. However, I was very disappointed to see that the FCA and the PRA are rolling back on their proposals to boost diversity in financial services. I feel this decision is risking pushing away the very best talent from the sector. With only 4% of financial services firms currently disclosing their ethnicity pay gap reporting, this announcement would only dampen the pace of change that's needed to tackle inequality. So could I ask the Minister, does she agree with me that initiatives that are aimed to reduce the ethnicity pay gap are not just anti-growth, they are pro-talent and pro-growth as well?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fair and equal treatment at work is a right and not a privilege. Companies like Deloitte, who I visited recently, are also reporting voluntarily on their ethnicity pay gaps. And I've also attended roundtables chaired by organisations like Change the Race Ratio and Share Action, who are promoting the benefits of ethnicity pay gap reporting. And indeed, the progress last week that we saw on the Parker Review is also seeing increasing numbers of ethnic minority board members on our FTSE companies. I agree with my honourable friend that pay gap reporting can help employers to identify and remove barriers to progression within their workforces and unleash talent from all of our communities, thereby supporting economic growth. And I thank her for her work on this also.
Mohammed Yassin.
Mr. Speaker, I was pleased to see the government's announcement of the newly established Race Equality Engagement Group, chaired by Baroness Doreen Lawrence, a tireless campaigner against discrimination for many, many decades. Could the Minister please clarify what steps the government is taking to recognise caste-based discrimination in law and whether this issue will be the focus of the group's work?
Minister.
I thank my honourable friend for his question, and indeed he references the Race Equality Engagement Group that we announced yesterday, and indeed this group will strengthen the government's links with ethnic minority communities, enabling effective two-way dialogue on the government's work to tackle race equalities, engaging on all issues, and we are considering our position on caste discrimination under the Equality Act 2010. We will update the House in due course.
Gregory Stafford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a former employee of the NHS, I was shocked to find that the Community Security Trust had found that the number of complaints of anti-Semitism in the NHS had tripled in the 17 months before and after the 7th of October 2023. Can I ask the Minister, what steps is the government taking to crack down on anti-Semitism within the NHS?
Good question. Minister.
He will also agree that anti-Semitism has no place in our society and in our workplace. This is an extremely important issue, and he will know that the Home Secretary and the whole of the government takes this very seriously.